Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. You won't be seeing my face today because you're probably getting bored of it, and also the footage today is based solely on Dachshund diet and my Dachshunds. So today I'm going to take you through what I feed my dogs and why. Because I did have a few concerns on my previous video that they weren't being fed enough. So I'm going to be talking about what they eat, how much they eat, basically all the details of their food. But I'm going to start this video by taking you back through the routine. You can see this in my day in the life video as well, but I'm just going to take you through the routine again now. So firstly, today Nemo is eating a few more raw nuggets than you would have seen in our previous video, and he's having venison. That's because he's had a very active day yesterday, so he gets a slightly bigger breakfast, because I know he'll eat it, otherwise he wouldn't eat it if he hasn't had an active day. So I'm going to take him to his crate to eat that now. And now it's time to feed the adult dogs. So you would have seen in my previous video that I do scatter feed for my dogs. So that means that I scatter the food on the floor so that they're encouraged to share and discouraged from resource guarding. So that basically means that they eat amongst each other, and they are very clever. They know how much food they need. And I will obviously top up their food if I feel like they haven't had enough in that session, because they do have raw nuggets in the evening as well. So I can give one of the dogs slightly more raw nuggets than the other, or whatever at that time. So then once they've eaten, I will clean down the floor with a disinfectant wipe. So once the floor's nice and clean, usually this means Nemo has finished his dinner and I can come and take him out of the crate and take them all out to the toilet. So I want to talk about what food we do feed. So we feed a mixed diet of raw and biscuits. The raw that we feed is the Country Hunter Nature's Menu, and we move between proteins. So they have duck, venison, sometimes they have turkey and rabbit. They also have Kibble, as I said before, and they have the Envy dog food, and this is their sort of medium range, so it's a 50% meat food. They also do a 65 and an 80%, but we just feed the 50% because obviously they're getting a lot of protein in the raw. The reason we've chosen to do this diet is because I've just personally found it's the most effective. So I do have a couple of dogs that have a grain allergy, and I also have one dog that is very sensitive to any sort of protein that's fed grain, so she can't have chicken, for example. So I initially moved on to the Nature's Menu venison because it seemed like a really good protein for dogs that have allergies. So we started on that and they just did fantastic on it. But I did find that they were then losing a little bit of weight. And no matter how much I upped the venison raw, they seem to still be losing a little bit of weight. So I then added in the kibble, and we feed purely this flavour of the salmon because they don't seem to have any sort of reactions to it. And years into eating it, they're not fussy with it. They still love it. We also use this kibble as treats, and we also use it as a distraction for things like the postman or people coming round, so they really do love this kibble. Once I've done a scatter feed in the morning, I then, as I said earlier, I will top up the raw based on what I feel they had in that scatter feed and also their body condition. So that's a really good segue onto body condition. So I don't feed based off of what it says on the back of the bag, and I never have done. I base all of my feeding off of body condition. So if I feel like a dog is getting overweight, then I will cut their food down. And if I feel like they're getting underweight, I will bring their food up. And I'm really alert to their body condition. So what you're looking for in terms of body condition is you are looking for a dog that has a waist, but you can't see the spine or the ribs. But you can feel the ribs if you were to feel, obviously, in that area. So with my dogs, that's what I'm always looking for. With Dachshunds, it is especially important to keep them of a decent weight. They are actually better off underweight than they are overweight due to their back issues that they can get. So I am very alert to their body condition and making sure they don't get overweight. My miniature pinscher, when she was younger, did have issues with her knees, so that's luxating patella, which is quite common in small breeds, I believe. So for that reason, it's also important that she doesn't get overweight. So again, I will adjust her diet depending on her body condition. She's in a fantastic body condition at the moment, but I do find towards the winter, her activity level does get a bit lower, and I think because of the cold on her joints. So that means that I will bring her diet down slightly so that she doesn't gain any weight. We have tried things like DIY raw, and for me as a vegetarian, I just found that very difficult. I want to do the best for my dogs, but touching real raw meat I find really difficult. I find the nuggets are almost disguised and don't seem so much like I'm feeding raw meat. And again, obviously kibble doesn't really look like meat at all. So I find that easier to deal with. Now that is slightly selfish on my behalf, but I want to have a compromise a little bit and be able to feed them raw, but also be able to handle it, which I wouldn't be able to handle it if it actually was raw meat. So there are plenty of other brands that do a complete raw. There are some fantastic brands which I would definitely suggest going onto Google and looking at the All About Dog Food website, which I will link below. And in there you can search for different raw, different kibble, and they give you a rating and a description. So I'm always looking for foods that basically the first ingredient on the packet is meat. And if the first ingredient isn't meat and it's something like maize or grain or something like meat meal, then I will just instantly avoid it, because I want their primary food to be a meat content and then the rest of the content is fine. There are loads of brands that are really super popular that come up on the adverts and they make themselves sound like they're a really good food, but actually if you look at the ingredients on the back of the bag, you'll see that the meat content is just not high enough. So I always advise, if you're thinking about changing food, or if you're concerned that the food that you're giving isn't the best, then just read the ingredients and have a look at them and process them and go through it and assess what you're feeding. So again, I'm going to keep repeating myself in this, but I do base it purely off of their actual body condition. I don't base it off of the recommendations, and as I say, on the bags it will always say it's a recommendation or a suggestion. So I would always start with what they recommend or suggest on the bag and then adjust it based on what your dog is looking like. So if you're looking at them and they look hungry but they look a good body condition, then you can add in things such as cucumber to their diet, which really has 0 calories in it and is just something to fill them up a little bit more. I also will change the treats, so if I feel like they are sort of looking a good body condition but maybe asking for a treat here and there, I might give them something like fish, which is again a lower calorie snack. And will last them quite long, because dried fish takes a little while to chew through, so that keeps them occupied and they won't be hungry during that time. They do often like cucumber or carrot frozen, so maybe try that. Or you can do things like creating homemade treats and making sure you've got an eye on the ingredients, and also creating frozen treats in the summer, so things like water and strawberries, so they can just lick through that and it will keep them occupied if they are the type to beg throughout the day. So that's my short little video on what we feed and why. If you've got any further questions, then please do pop them in the comments. And if you've liked this video, then please like it. As I always say, it is Dachshund, not Dachshund, not Dachshund, Dachshund. Cheers, guys.